I'm Drew Bedard, and this is Marketing That Works, a podcast about the tools, tips, and tactics that business owners and marketers need to wow their customers and grow their profits. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Marketing That Works podcast. I'm your host, Drew Bedard. Thanks again for listening. Thanks for sharing the show. If you could share this with one person today, I would greatly appreciate it. So if you're watching on live stream right now on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, also give it a share. We'd greatly appreciate it. I've got my buddy Leighton Hart back with me this week. So Leighton, how are you?
I'm so good.
So good.
Yep. Okay. Thanks for having me back on. It's always fun to be on your podcast.
Well, thanks, buddy. You're doing a great job with your podcast as well. It's called Johnson City Living. Had some great interviews lately, but we are going to talk about YouTube. That's one of the most popular episodes that I've ever done. I think I did 5 tips and then I did 8 tips. And actually, Leighton has been working on some YouTube channels lately, and he's been learning a lot as well. Some of it is going to sound repetitive, but it can't be repeated enough of how important these certain, and he's going to go through 5 tips for YouTube today. And I think they're going to be really valuable for everybody who's listening and everybody who's watching. So, Leighton, how's the Johnson City Living podcast going first?
It's great. So I just looked at it the other day, and I started it back at the beginning of this year, back in January of 2020. Mm-hmm. 2020 has been a big year.
It's been a long year.
But I looked, and right now I've published 41 episodes. I've got the 42nd already in the can ready to go, and several more episodes lined up. So, obviously I had high hopes for the podcast, and COVID kind of threw me off track, but I'm still looking back and putting out 42 episodes in a year I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's great. Absolutely.
And really just so thrilled to have been able to sit across the table with some really cool people.
Yeah, man.
And hear some really good stories. So it's been a blast, and doubling down on that and hoping to just keep it going.
Okay. Love it. And so today's episode is going to be about YouTube, and I want you to dive in. But again, just to set the scene, is that you've been working on some YouTube channels as a monetization model for Market Street Media, and you and I have talked a lot about it because you've taken some tips from me, but I'm also learning a lot from what you're doing. But you're going to go over 5 tips today on how people can enhance their YouTube channel and make it better. But these are really core fundamental tips, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do lean on you heavily because, you have covered this in your podcast before, and there's plenty of episodes you can go back and listen to that. And that's kind of where these seeds got planted. But YouTube, every time I start looking at YouTube and learning more about YouTube, the more I learn, the more I want to learn.
Right.
And the more time I spend on YouTube creating stuff, the more time I want to spend there creating stuff. And I just really realize the power of it. So I do want to share 5 things. We're going to have a little tea party here, Drew.
Okay, tea party.
Because it's 5 things. They all start with T.
Excellent. The 5 T's.
Do you want to know the first one?
Yes. Number 1.
Number 1 is topics.
Okay.
So you do have to, it's like anything else that we talk about, podcasting or content creation, blogging, whatever. It helps to zero in on a topic and find a niche and provide a lot of value to that niche. Mm-hmm. If you try to be a generalist, you will resonate with no one. Mm-hmm. And so that's the first one, is choose topics wisely.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That it seems like when you look at a podcast or you look at a YouTube channel, the success comes from focus and concentration on a certain niche. Yes, this is kind of a broad topic with marketing, but every one of my episodes has been about marketing. So if people come back over and over again, that they know that's what they're getting. They can trust the fact that I'm going to talk about marketing and I'm not going to talk about sailing or something like that. So as you've talked about with your topics, it's a great focus, but then you need to come back to it every single time so that people build trust with that channel, that this is the content I'm going to get. Now it can be adjacent to the topic. So take cars, for instance, or anything like that. Now it could go all different directions with cars, but as long as you remain under that umbrella, that's what people are going to keep coming back to the channel or the podcast for.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Okay, are you ready for number 2?
Number 2.
Number 2 is titles. Titles. So you have to be strategic about your titles on YouTube, because number 1, you're creating a relationship with the viewer. Mm-hmm. You're also creating a relationship with an algorithm. Mm-hmm. And so the algorithm is going to YouTube is trying to learn who to show your stuff to. And so if you can be smart with your titles and train YouTube who to show your stuff to, you will do much better, much quicker. Now, the tip on titles is you want your title to make a promise about what the viewer is going to get from watching the video or what's inside the video. And you want it to be, a bit of a tease, but it can't be clickbait. YouTube is so smart, and they can match up your title and what's in the video and your thumbnail and all those things and figure out if you have put up a title that doesn't match up with what's in the video. They're so smart. So good titles that are strategic include kind of the keywords that you want to promote and that tease a little bit, but you can't do clickbaity type stuff.
Yeah. But and I think another thing on titles, you're absolutely right. Just like subject lines in emails, headlines on newspapers. It doesn't matter. Headlines on websites. Titles matter. And I think some of the research that you and I have done is that on YouTube, it is the shorter the better too. Can you get, because say mobile, for instance, you're going to get a majority, or it's moving obviously in that direction, that you're going to get a majority of your views from mobile, but you only see on mobile most of the time 35 characters before it cuts off in the video. Or if you're looking in a subscription feed or anything, you have about 35 characters. So you need to get the point across quick. You can't have a bunch of fluffy words up front because then the person doesn't know what it's about. So titles matter, keywords, SEO, all those things go into it, and try to keep it as short as possible.
Yep. Okay, so that's number 2. Ready for number 3?
Yeah.
Number 3 is thumbnails. What's a thumbnail, Drew?
A thumbnail is essentially the cover to the YouTube video, or, you've got thumbnails all over the place as far as graphics are concerned, but when it comes to YouTube, it is the graphic cover page of your video. So when you're scrolling through YouTube, the thumbnail is usually, titles is equally as important. I'd say probably thumbnails are just a little bit more important because it's the bigger graphical element that you're seeing rather than the words. A lot of the times the title and the words will be included in the thumbnail, but thumbnails are so critical because they are, again, that cover page to what this video is going to be about. But I'd love to hear your take on thumbnails.
No, I think there's a couple pieces to it. One is you want them to be attention grabbing, and you do want them to either reveal a little bit about what's inside the video, or create some mystery about what's inside the video. So, but again, not in like a clickbaity way, because again, YouTube can pick up on what's in your title, what's in your video, and they can interpret the thumbnail to a certain extent.
Right.
So if you have a thumbnail that doesn't relate, your video is not going to perform all that well. So optimizing your thumbnails and making them, again, create some interest, some visual interest, grab some elements from the video and put them in that thumbnail. It's great to have graphics or photos, some big bold text, things like that, to create some interest and make people want to click that video.
Yeah, love it. And you just said it right there at the end. Kind of the formula is big bright colors, big bold headline, and actually one kind of secret tip, but you kind of touched on it, is faces. One of the biggest tips that YouTubers give is to put a human face on it and as big as possible, and that really can get people engaged in, like Mr. Beast. That's one of the most popular YouTubers out there right now. He, there's a big picture of his face on every single thumbnail, and this guy, you've got to learn by example. You got to learn by watching, not just, watching the videos, but watch what people do. What do the thumbnails look like for the best YouTubers out there? And you look at a channel like that or some other giant YouTubers, and you can get tips just based off of their thumbnails and say, maybe I should copy this formula because they obviously know what they're doing to get millions of views. So
yeah, that's another tip that it kind of gets glossed over here that I didn't think to mention is you can learn so much by going through YouTube and looking at trending videos and popular YouTubers and going, okay, let me take a step back and look at what's going on in this title, this thumbnail, this topic, but particularly the thumbnail. And you can just go through and go, okay, what's going on with color in this thumbnail? What's going on with graphic elements? What's going on with faces? You can analyze all those things and then bring that back to your own creation process to go, okay, I'm going to play with color. I'm going to play with some faces. I'm going to, really tweak out the text and play with it there. So that's a great learn from others.
Yes. All right. Number 4.
Yeah, let's talk tags. Number 4 is tags.
Yes.
And tags is, again, you and I had a conversation yesterday, I think, about what's the role of tags, because I've heard some people say, tags don't matter anymore. But I think the majority of the knowledge and the successful YouTubers would say you've got to have consistency across your title, your topic, your thumbnail, and your tags.
Right, description and tags, right.
Yep.
Because when you go down all those things and you have similar words in every single thing, every single section, YouTube's going to pick up on that and say, these people are consistent, they put out videos consistently, but they're using similar words throughout the entire description of this video, which is targeting this person, so hopefully it'll show up in a suggested video feed. That's what you're hoping for at some point. That's how it gets picked up in YouTube.
Yeah. And so, again, going back to keywords, if you're creating a video about Instagram growth tips,
yes,
your title is going to want to say Instagram growth in it.
Yep.
Okay, your description is you're going to want to have Instagram growth in there, and then also you want to tag Instagram growth. Instagram growth.
Right. Social media, Facebook, right. You want to tag all, the adjacent keywords as well. Right?
Exactly. Yep.
Good.
Okay. Last one. T for trends.
Trends.
So YouTube has a trending tab where you can see what the most popular videos are at any given moment. I think you can actually look back over time, too.
Yeah, and I think on the mobile app, I think it's under Explore, I think on the baseline. So if you're looking for that and you're on the mobile app, it's under Explore. I need to cough. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
I'm fine, by the way.
It's
fine. I'm fine.
So with trends, it's always fun and interesting and a great learning process just to click that tab and see what's happening on YouTube at any given moment. I can almost guarantee that for whatever your niche, whatever your topic is, whatever field you're in, you can learn something that you can apply in your own video process by looking at trends. But also, you can jump on items that are already trending. And if you can quickly turn out a video that is, again, like you said, adjacent or related to one of those trending topics or trending videos, you can ride that trend up.
Yes, absolutely. I think you and I were listening to a podcast recently. We were sharing a podcast back and forth of a girl who grew her channel from 0 to 70,000 subscribers, $100,000 in a year. And just a small fraction of that was made up in YouTube and Google AdSense. But what she was talking about was that she took an approach right up front for maybe the first 4 or 5 months of just doing evergreen. Now that's a very common strategy on YouTube. Build evergreen videos for the long haul that you're hopefully 2-3 years from now, you're still getting views and they're churning in the background. But one of the factors that in her channel growth was that she hit a trending video, a trending title about stimulus checks back in the spring of 2020. And that's actually what boosted her channel up. Then she did more evergreen. She boosted it again by doing a trending topic. So she actually said, if your goal is to monetize YouTube over the long haul, she was saying go 80-20, 80% evergreen, 20% trending. But if you are looking to maybe grow your channel rapidly within 6 months or something like that, you might have to do an all trending channel. But it's really important. It has to be part of the mix somewhere, right?
Yeah. And again, if you're going to do all trending, again, it comes back to topics. Not every topic is going to set up really well for trending videos. You know, if your topic is lawn care or something like that, I don't know how many fresh trends there would be in lawn care. There may be, I don't know. But, other topics, news and gaming and sports and politics and these things where there is always something happening, there are always going to be trends to ride there. So think about how your trends and your topic play out together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for coming on the show and talking about those things. I know you and I geek out over it all the time, but you're like in it every day. So
fun.
If you're looking for an expert on YouTube, Leighton is your guy. He's learning a lot, but you only learn by doing, and he's doing it every day. So those 5 tips again: number 1, topics; number 2, titles; number 3, thumbnails; number 4, tags; and number 5, trends. I was cheating. There's a cheat sheet here right in front of me. So, all right, go check out Leighton's podcast, the Johnson City Living Podcast. And if you want to learn about Leighton's business, Market Street Media, you go to marketstreet.media. Thanks, buddy, for being on the show.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Okay, see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Marketing That Works podcast. To find out more and to get the show notes and everything that's going on, go to marketstreet.media. That's where I house this wonderful podcast on the Market Street Media Podcast Network. So thanks, check it out, and we'll see you on the next episode.